do the thing. So, this is my Commonplace book, Commonplace binder. I'm going to set this down now. Is it my personal Commonplace binder? Well, normally I would say no. I would normally say that this is my demonstration binder. However, I've mostly been using the demonstration binder instead of the actual one I was supposed to be using, the one that I was supposed to be working on. And so while it's exciting to switch from thing to thing, recently I saw a Sophia Wren video which talks about the same sort of thing. Also, for context, it is the end of July 2025 while I'm recording, so there's a little bit of an interesting interaction between Cambodia and Thailand right now. Okay, so do the thing. I've talked about that. We gotta go through the video. So, Commonplace Binder 101. This is the playlist. It's 100 videos on the thing. We're on video number 86, so we're getting close to the end. I've been in sneezing town, so if my face is a little red, that's probably because I've been interacting with a lot of dust. So I think I have to clean the top of the ceiling fan, because I don't think I've done that recently. So that might be where all the extra dust is coming from. Although it might just be from the binder. Right, do the thing. Something to work hard for. So, having your own personal Commonplace binder, I mean, I think that's something to work hard for. It's not something you really should have to work hard for, because you're just writing down the things that are relevant to you. And, you know, hopefully adding some, like, citations and stuff. Like, this is where I got it. This is why I have it. This is who it's from. All that stuff. Have to mess up. So it's not gonna look super pretty or perfect or accurate on the first try, and that's okay. If it does look absolutely 100% the best it's ever going to be on the first try, then why did you wait 25 years to make the thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's gonna be perfect on the first try, then just make it, because it's gonna be good. Cultivate an environment. So maybe one of the things that would benefit me is cultivating an environment that is free of dust. It'd be very good to keep the dust out of here. So maybe I'll do some cleaning. Maybe I should write down I should do some cleaning as like a to-do list. And then I should use that to-do list to figure out which things I actually need to write about. Now, that's not really what a Commonplace book is for, but when you're just starting out, you can kind of use it for whatever, because if you're doing 1% of the thing, that's a lot better than doing 0% of the thing, because it's just for you. Like, if it's your personal thing, then it's just for you. Build it right. Actually, forget that. You gotta do it perfectly on the first try. No, this is there's no need to worry about making it perfect on the first try. The way to build it right is actually just to keep doing it, because if you do, let's say, 10% of it once a year, well, assuming nothing changes and you're just adding to it, you will have fully completed it in the proper way over the course of a 10-year period. Now, that sounds like a very long time, but assuming you're going to live for more than 10 years, that should be very doable. Logical conclusion. So, you know, I think you can write at least a sentence per day. And assuming, on average, you have 10 sentences on a page, that means you can get one page done every 10 days. Even, you know, like, some pages will probably have, like, full paragraphs of stuff, and then other pages might only have one line. But, you know, let's just say it has, like, an average of 10 sentences per page. You can write one sentence per day. Well, after 100 days, you're going to have 10 pages. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but for somebody who doesn't write a lot, that might actually be ridiculous. I'm not really sure if that's the most logical conclusion to come forward with and then share that. But what is the logical conclusion of having a Commonplace binder? Well, you're going to use up some of your time, and you're going to get a thing. Now, it will probably also consume some resources, because you need to have something to write on, and you need to have something to protect the stuff to write on, and you also need to actually write the stuff, which will require some sort of writing item. So it's going to use up some resources, but then you'll have a resource that you have forever, unless it somehow gets damaged beyond repair, but that's how every object works. So I don't know why I keep bringing that up in every video. always in flux. So one of the benefits of having a binder as opposed to a book is the binder can be adjusted. So you can move the stuff into different parts of the binder. You could just take it out of the binder. You could put it back in. So if your stuff is always moving, always shifting, like for example, if you're somebody who runs a news channel, if you publish your stuff a week late, no one's going to look at it. And everybody knows this. And that's one reason why when somebody says that they're running like some news channel of some sort, even if it's just like a YouTube or a Twitch thing, I'm like, you guys are crazy. Because this stuff changes like on an hour-to-hour basis, like sometimes even like a minute-to-minute basis. And so constantly being awake to push that stuff out, man, even if you prepped everything ahead of time and you're just pressing post, like, you gotta be awake. Like, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. So if you're in a situation like that where everything's always moving around, it might be good to go with a binder rather than a standard commonplace book. How to prioritize. So what should you do first? What should you never do? Well, one thing you could do is just add a contents page. And so from then on, anything you add to the contents page. There you go. You did a thing. Also, my hand is in a lot of pain right now. I think I got some little bit of plastic in it, and that's moving around as a sort of splinter. So it's very uncomfortable. And we're going to move on. Infinite ideas. Are you going to have infinite ideas of how to use tape to like pull something out of your hand? Or are you going to think to yourself, maybe it is tape that's actually in my hand because I was messing around with too much tape earlier. And maybe you're just going to get really distracted. Maybe the prioritization is going to be a problem. And the infinite ideas, they're going to keep coming and you're just going to keep writing them out and you're going to write them out. And what if you don't have infinite ideas though? Well, then the commonplace binder might not actually be for you if you don't have infinite ideas. On the other hand, I think most people have ideas, they just suppress them. But I'm not sure about that because there seem to be a lot of people, at least in 2025, who seem dedicated to the idea of never thinking a single thought within their entire lives. I don't really know why that's such a big thing right now. But it's it's a little frustrating. Audited for accuracy. So after you have these infinite ideas and you write them all out, you might want to check them to make sure that they actually work. So some of the ideas should probably be turned into like a hypothesis. So you can use the scientific method to figure all the things out. Be like, does this work? Yes or no? Why? How I found out? What are my sources? And so you could make this sort of like a research project if you want. But even if you don't want to do something like that, you should probably read the idea again just to make sure that you wrote it down at the very least. Time to get practical. Are we just writing down things and then checking the things later and not actually getting any of this stuff done? Or do we just feel like we're in motion? Yeah, it might be you essentially create a waterfall of information in which none of the knowledge is actually created or preserved or anything. And it's just a way to numb the mind in the most productive way possible. Well, other than, having a job where somebody gets paid to do the same sort of thing. Because it's probably better to get paid for doing a thing than not getting paid to do the thing if, everything else is equal, which I assume it would almost never be. But what are the practical things to put in your commonplace binder? Well, if you're just starting out, you might consider writing down some stuff like a recipe, Like, I assume you need to eat food, and maybe not. But you probably need to feed, you probably need to feed yourself at some point. And so if you need to eat food, then it might be good to figure out how to make food or how to get another person to get food for you. And so if you write down the specifics for that, it might be kind of good to do that, because then you can just open that up and look at your different food options rather than sitting with someone and saying back and forth for 3 hours, what do you want for dinner? No, what do you want for dinner? Actually, we could do this other thing, but it's like, no, just look through the list, pick something, you're good. Building to last. Yeah, you don't really need to focus on anything particular. So you could just write about all the things that are going to be a big deal like 100 years from now. But if you don't eat, you're never going to make it to 100 years from now because there's going to be no food. And if there's nothing that goes in, then the energy is going to run out at some point. So building to last is sometimes not about making it super useful or efficient, but it's just about making sure you keep using it. And so I'm kind of failing at that right now because I'm working on my demonstration binder. I'm working on the videos instead of actually working on the binder. And the binder shouldn't necessarily take up all day or every day of someone's life. But it's really fun to work on, and I don't really want to have to work on anything else. So it is kind of annoying having to make the videos. Oh, man. An alternate you. Maybe that's what I want right now. I want like an alternate version of myself to be able to go through all the binders and actually experience them. Now, in some ways, it's a little weird because experiencing the binders and not intaking any new information is kind of just like reliving the past. And so if you have a bad thing happen, or, you know, if time just keeps happening, because that's how that works, eventually the person who spends all their time in their books or their notebooks is going to feel a little bit out of place, even though they didn't necessarily even move. Build it from scratch. So one of the benefits of building it on your own is you can start with a single page and have nothing on it. And then you'll know that from now on, everything that you make is something that you, just you, made. And that can be pretty cool. Also, I'm realizing the recording is reversed, so I'm hoping that isn't too much of a problem later, but I guess we'll see. Yeah. Permission to create. So you don't need me to sell you a specific thing. You can just make this because you're just putting paper in a binder and then writing on it. Like, I think you'll figure it out as long as you keep doing it. Reclaim your attention. So this is getting to be a little bit of a longer video. And actually it's not. The video before this was super long. I think it was like 23 minutes. And I think this one will probably be like, I don't know, 16. If we're assuming 1 minute per note card, and assuming I'm going through this a little bit faster than normal. Yeah. You might be distracted and just be looking for a way to reclaim some of your attention. That's one of the reasons I worked on the Commonplace for so long. It was a way to prevent myself from getting distracted. And now that I'm not working on it as much, I get distracted more often or more frequently. And it's very annoying. About your mission. So the only way that I'm actually really able to make these videos without going nuts is I'm focusing on the demonstration binder. And while it isn't necessarily my personal Commonplace binder that I really want to put all my time and energy into, it's something that I think in the long term will help me and other people more than me just sitting in a corner and getting excited about something I wrote down. Because theory is great, but it is also great to have something practical that works. Stuck in a time loop, it can definitely feel a little repetitive. Writing all this stuff out and then looking at it again and then writing something based on that and then leaving it alone for a little bit and then coming back to look at it and then reading it and like changing it a little bit and then making something else based on it. And it's like, okay, we're just doing the same thing every single day. But it is very nice. And it's also kind of the only way to, you know, work on something multiple times. Because we have to work on it multiple times. But yeah, it can feel a little bit like someone's stuck in a time loop. Although if things keep getting worse, it might actually be kind of nice to stay in the time loop of when things weren't as bad. But then this might lead someone into the awful situation where they're running out of money and they just keep dedicating all their time to a thing that doesn't make them money, and then, you know, they're just kind of keep sinking. So it's a great way to remain stable, but it's not really a great way to boost oneself. And for that, you might need to use some other strategies. Personal. My personal problem right now is my computer monitors keep turning off. I guess we can try to move this around, see if that changes things. It does, which means my headset has not turned off. Excellent. Yeah. my personal, this matches. I don't know if you remember from earlier, if you happen to be here. And by earlier, I mean like 20 videos ago. But I used to talk about how the title is constructed from all the different keywords, and considering this is, one of the 2 keywords that are from, the data that I actually saved, whereas the rest of these are all kind of just thrown together. Looks like I just moved it from there. Adding. So how do you add to your Commonplace binder? Okay, well, the same way that I add to mine. You just put the stuff in that's the most relevant to you right now, and then eventually you get rid of whatever is the worst or the least relevant, and you just keep doing that. So it's always in flux. You don't need to worry about it too much. You built it from scratch, so it was useful to you at some point. It might not be useful now, and you don't necessarily have to throw it all away. You could just deprioritize it, like I said earlier in this video or in the previous video. So the next video is advice on how. I assume that's related to Commonplace binders, but you never know. It's probably related. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope I didn't make you too tired, because I definitely made myself tired during this video. So bye.